You wouldn't have thought it, but maybe. But I've actually even built on yesterday today. Yeah, let me just put this video into context. In the lead up to it, there's been druggings. In the lead up to it, we've had the 1950s car showroom going 10 to the dozen out there at times with a sudden increase in traffic. And then when I sat back, just enjoy the videos, where I couldn't see the cars on show, as you do get in a car showroom, we had, with magic vehicles, we had magic lorries going past. I think so. It's just and that's the nature of it. That is why it's important, even though it may not be palatable to some people, to mention that guy who went off his head outside the coffee shop in the wheelchair, who was shouting his head off to be noticed. There is an element of that going on. You will notice this, you will notice that. It seems to me anyway. But as with pointing out Patrick O'Connor's Black and White Army, the origins, some of the origins of some of the stuff you will have seen today. Any mature, and it doesn't always look like I'm that mature, but any mature critique of what's going on, any breakdown of the machinations of the atomic habits of the habit stacking and all the rest of it that goes on, would be pretty one-sided, wouldn't it? Which may be suitable for some disciplines and some people. Me, thank you very much. I know to have a mature debate. I know to make a mature critique, even though, like I said, it doesn't always look like it, especially when I'm letting off steam. But it does need to be done at times. It really does need to be done at times. Not least the other day when they went hell for leather in the middle of the week. I think it was Wednesday maybe, and one of their key stunts was this girl crossing the road, who I then the next day mentioned that you just turn the page. Which sort of reminds me of when I once said change the fucking record to the telly, and like I said, it was never going to take place. I sort of always knew that paranoia would always take over eventually. Other people's paranoia would always take over eventually, perhaps for a certain period of time. But anyway, so today has been, how would I put it? Dare I put it as a masterclass in how to point out the habits, the habit stacking type stuff, the manufactured nature of with attempts to engineer certain types of mental states. For example, I mentioned earlier that after I came back from town, which is similar to when I was on the ward and went to pick up a meal. When I come back, you compartmentalise, you get on with it. But then, like I did mention earlier, didn't I? There's this attempt to drug you up, to get you to think in ways that you're not really interested in about all the Hollywood B movie from the 1950s and the commercial radio and TV from the 1950s. I'm just not fucking interested. So, like I said, that's the way things are going to go. Now, the ad agency may get a bit shitty about that. I wouldn't put it past them. These people have built themselves up. They may, like I think the local nut house did, have boxed themselves into a corner. Maybe not. I don't know. I've not got access to these people's mindsets. But I did look at the video earlier, as you probably know. What is it? Epilogue Juggins and Back on the Dole. But then all that happens, right? And this has been like this is an echo of the amalgam years. they then just keep pulling the same stunts. For example, trying to make me freak out about a tub of butter. it's classic amalgam years stunts. It's just. But now I'm able to treat them differently, much differently. So you sort of, they're stuck in the 50s. So I'll use a metaphor. You cut them off at the pass, and then you just get on with your day. You just adopt this objective, even though, again, it may not look like it. But if you actually look at the content of what I'm saying, I am actually saying, this is these characterizations, this drama that they're consumed with, these dramatic techniques that they're consumed with, and all the rest of it. I ain't fucking interested. I'm never going to be interested again unless they take me up to the point where I'm not myself anymore. Which sometimes can take place for a certain period of time while I'm on psychiatric medication. Now, it wouldn't be the case if I wasn't on psychiatric medication, but at the moment, I don't know for how long. The psychiatric medication, the psychiatric chemicals, do have their benefits. I will stick by them for the foreseeable future, maybe for quite some time, and just have them maybe get weaned off them, maybe go on at such a low dose that I don't really need them, but that's not for the present time, maybe. But yeah, so it's like with the magic keyboards, which again we had tonight again. Attempts at magic keyboards. Now we have, as we had during the amalgam years, like we had with magic keyboards, we had magic condiments and stuff like that in the kitchen, and all sorts of bizarre stuff going on. I'm just not buying anymore. I see the adverts. I just ordered a microphone, and they're pumping they're coming out with adverts like there's no tomorrow, and it's just like I'm not actually buying it anymore. But this critique, and it does need a critique. I've mentioned tonight about I'm sure there's an audience beyond the immediate, maybe controllable audience. I've sort of explained in a way they try to control certain aspects of my content. In the lead up to it, we get the car showroom, for example, drug-ins, and so on and so forth. It's one of their habits, one of their atomic habits. Let's put it that way. And it's just like, anyway, So, pointing that out, which, because of the state they're in, they may try to work around, in which case I'll figure a way to keep doing what I'm doing, which may result in them getting really pissed off and getting really shitty, which may result in them trying to get me really shitty. For example, I was thinking earlier on tonight, they may try to get me shouting and screaming outside coffee shops so they can, have some sort of dramatic moment. I don't personally see the point, that what took place outside the coffee shop last Sunday, I think it was illustrative of what was going on, and does, in any mature critique and response to such techniques should be mentioned. Any attempt to get people self-policing, to stop saying things that are relevant. For example, about Patrick O'Connor's Black and White Army, who incidentally, I think, and possibly one of the architects, had significant moments of their lives, I think, during the late 40s and 50s. I think. I'm not sure. I've not got the dates. I don't particularly want to look them up. I've got better things to do. But that may be the case. But yeah. you know, and it's, you know, the thing with with, for example, the condiments, the butter, the rest of it in the kitchen. You know, trying to concoct a big deal, dramatic moments around it, and stuff like that. And it's just like, you know. You point out this is that, this is a scenario, they're trying to pull a stunt, they're doing this, that, or whatever. And you don't really do what they do, that sort of thing. Trying to figure out, well, they're doing this now and they're doing that now. I can say that stuff, but ultimately, for me, it's just getting on with it. You know, despite the fact that may be the case this week, if I do go down the coffee shop quite a few times, the weather's supposed to be all right, that becomes one of their atomic habits. That every time, like they did with the telly, like they did with the internet, they may try that with going down. And I hope not, because to me, that's nagging. And like, I've already made it clear, I get fucking bored if I'm nagged. You know, you do. You know, it's just something that makes you bored of the type of things you get nagged about. You know. But anyway, you know, yeah. I do want to explore more. You know, even though they'd make something of this, I'm sure. Tell me something they don't try to make something out of, or give that impression. Yeah, the Slavic. Even though I have before, just start to, you know, because I do think it's quite significant. Even though, like I mentioned earlier, from 2016 onwards, there was this attempt to get me into South Asian culture, Eastern culture, and all that sort of stuff. Eastern Europe, you know, is starting for some reason, has been since the more and more I get out of the amalgam years, does start to fascinate me, even though I don't know that much about it. But yeah. And again, and it's possibly, you know, it's a bit of a pity, but it's possibly because of the sheer amount of nagging that has gone on around stuff like that. And yet, you know, all of it seems to me to be a bit of a convenient distraction from the architects. But that's the way it is. That's the way it is. I just take that for granted. I don't need those people to the ad agency, the people behind the ad agency, and the Hollywood B movie from the 50s, to validate me. Right? I don't need to go up to them. Like maybe others did, and say, "Oh, please tell me I'm okay, and I'm this, that, or whatever." You know, I don't need that. Maybe they did. I don't. So anyway, yeah, I've just heard something in the environment, just outside the window. I didn't actually hear what it was, but yeah, yeah. So like these, this stuff that goes on in town that owes so much to the 1950s, a mediated version of the 1950s. You know, you know, and I think of other people as well. I shouldn't mention the Beatles, but the Beatles, for example, like Bowie, were influenced by the 50s. You know, it's you know, I don't know. These aren't, you know, me. I prefer to go to the books. You know, me saying about music, it may get like what we had with the black music the other day from whatever genre. It may get them all thinking, "Oh, you're saying this about the Beatles and David Bowie," but I can't really give a shit. I'm just, you know, I'm just speculating off the top of my head, as anyone should be able to make a valid and mature critique. You know, so yeah, so yeah. Will it be the case? I wonder. They tried to get me shouting and screaming outside coffee shops to be noticed. But then again, I don't need anyone to notice me. But anyway, maybe just maybe, beyond the Hollywood B movie environment from the 50s, beyond the commercial TV and radio from the 50s, somewhere out there, there are people who think, well, hang on a sec, this is pretty crazy what's going on in that town. But you know, as with the 96 to 2000, there aren't really that many people who are allowed to think that way. I mean, if I'm not allowed completely independent thought at times, you know, then I've got to wonder what techniques may be being used with people who run around on the telly giving their opinions and so on and so forth, you know, and all the rest of it. But yeah, tomorrow I've got to ring up the Perfect Pharmacy across the way. They didn't deliver enough of one of the psychiatric chemicals, you know, sort of to try and maybe, I don't know, try and, like they did on the last ward I was on, build up certain things to be other than what they are, sort of thing. They've already done it with cream, hand cream, and foot cream. Apparently I'm going to put cream on my hands and feet, which I actually do with my hands when I engage in sexual activity. I think I've mentioned that before, at times. And it is 27th of April, so it's pretty much on schedule for their Atomic Habits as we go into a new month. And then we have magic numbers and so on and so forth in the early parts of a month. It does. But it's, like I said, it maybe one of the good elements of this is the sheer amount of nagging, because you just really do get so bored of it. But the important thing is, for me, is when I go out and about, you know, I said earlier I was a bit pumped up because I expected more. That may increase. You know, when I get back here, they may pull the same stunts they did with the TV, same stunts they did with the internet. Wouldn't surprise me. And I think I'm not really thinking of the amalgam years now. I could delve into them, but I'm not really interested at the moment. To figure out, well, did they do that during then? Probably did. Almost certainly did. But that may develop into one of their habits, where I'm sat here, I've compartmentalised, like I did on the ward. You go out, you get your coffee, you see all the shenanigans, you just characterise it in that way, 1950s type stuff, you know, commercial TV, commercial radio, really remedial type stunts. That they then tried to play off that to give it the cool Britannia type stuff and the air of science of science that is just pretty, you know, when you got all that going on, like I see, but don't always communicate. It is, yeah. But yeah. So, like I said, I mean, I've got this summer hat. I've got it on. I think I've got it on my on my YouTube as my profile picture. Not sure whether I'm going to wear it. Not sure whether I'm the type of person who would wear a hat like that, which sort of says something about the amalgam years. Yeah, I suppose I could if it was if the sun's too high in the sky in the morning or whenever I go downtown. But yeah, that's something else. I wonder how many Kidderminster people are allowed into Kidderminster town centre these days. You know, they may have persuaded them, let's say, to venture out. But yeah, who knows? But anyway, 10 to 9 on a quite pleasant evening by the looks of things, disregarding the car showroom from the 50s. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. And who knows, after the week and after the last weekend and this week, not least with the turn the page check and all the rest of it, who knows what this week may bring.